Hi, this is Dan Elder from Kidasa Software. Today I'm going to be showing you how to export P6 to Excel, and then inside Excel eliminate some of those tasks, and then bring the rest over to Milestones Professional. And then we're going to be refreshing directly from a P6 XER file. So first I'm going to export this P6 file into Excel, and to do that I'm going to go to File, in P6, and then choose Export, and right here you've got Spreadsheet, so I'm going to choose that. And I'll just choose Next. And I guess I should check Activities and click Next. Make sure to choose the project to export. And I think this should probably be fine. So I'm going to press Next. And that should export it to that file. And I will press Finish. The export was successful. So now if I look in my Documents folder where that file got exported to, then I can double click on that file. And then it should open up in Excel. So we're not going to bring all of these tasks over to Milestones. So I'm actually going to eliminate some of these. I can just kind of expand this task name right here. And this is just an example file that was built into P6. Obviously, you might have a P6 file with hundreds or thousands of tasks. But now I'm just going to kind of go through and just remove what I don't want to bring over to Milestones. So just as an example, let's just say I don't want to bring over these tasks right here, and I should just be able to right click and choose Delete Entire Row. There's probably even a keyboard shortcut for that. And let's see, so I'm just going to bring over, those look pretty good, maybe down to there. And I'll just say I'm going to delete all of these as well. And then I've just got this information that's going to come over to Milestones. And I don't have to bring over everything, so if I don't want to bring over, this resource list, into like a column in Milestones, I don't have to do that. But you can see some of these are actually single day tasks, and the way Milestones works is during the Excel import, it's going to bring over a start symbol and a finish symbol. So if you don't want to show two symbols for some of these, the best thing to do is just delete the start date. So for instance, some of these are on the same day, I can just go through. Most of these actually are single day tasks. This is like a 4-day task, so I'll just keep both of those dates. And I'm just going to kind of go through, and yeah, this is like a 4-day task as well. That's a multi-day task. Some of these also are, so I'll just delete some of those. So all of these tasks with the start date, they're going to come over with a start symbol and a bar and a finish symbol. And then these ones with just the end date are just going to come over with a finish symbol. So that'll be a little easier for bringing stuff over into Milestones. And to actually copy it over to Milestones, what I'm going to do is actually rename this to Start. So I'll just say Start, and I'll rename this to Finish. That's pretty important because when it gets exported to XER, it actually uses Start and Finish in the XER file. So whenever we refresh, it's going to be looking for these columns in that file. And actually the name field, the activity name, I'm just going to call that name. I believe that is also the field name for that. But we don't have to worry about anything else. I think the activity ID, that's going to eventually be text1, but it doesn't really matter what we have here since we're going to be able to choose text1 later. I'll kind of show you guys that. And yeah, so I'm just going to copy this information to the clipboard, and I'm going to use these kind of rows that I modified, or these names that I modified right here. So I'm going to hold Shift and just select all this information. I'm going to ignore this information since I don't even want to bring that in. And I'm going to hold Control and press C, so Control C, or you can click on the copy button up here. And then I'm going to go over to Milestones and And you can see I set up this kind of example file right here, and this is the file that it's actually going to be placed into. So whatever file you have open, when you import from Excel, it's going to go into that file. So if I go to the File tab in Milestones and choose Custom under the little Import Options section, so click on the Custom button and then Custom Import from Clipboard. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to clear these old settings. And a couple important things, I'm going to make sure to check this tag imported data down here. That way I can actually use that activity ID. And also append imported data. It doesn't matter on this file, but if you had existing tasks and you're just adding stuff to this file, you definitely want to append that. Otherwise it would just overwrite starting at the first row. So I'm going to choose activity ID right here, and I'm going to link that all the way at the bottom to unique ID. Make sure I have this checked down here for tag imported data. And to link it, you just click over here and then click on wherever you want to link it to. If you made a mistake, you can just double click and that should eliminate that. And then let's see. So I'm not going to use activity status or WBS code or the constraint. I'm going to do name and then start and finish. So the name is going to go into this task column, which is this column on the left right here. Task, and then start and finish. If you have start and finish columns already over here, you don't want to use those. What you want to do is these task numbers down here. And to keep it simple, I'll just say that the first 4 task numbers are these first 4 rows in the toolbox. So if you had already set up your toolbox and you want to use like row 2 or something like that, you would just set those to task 2. I'm going to use the top row in the toolbox. So I'm going to say start goes to task 1 start date, and finish goes to task 1 end date. So that'll take all those dates in the start and use this first symbol right here. And then if it has a finish, it's going to do the bar and the finish symbol. Otherwise, if it just has a finish date, it's just going to put that finish symbol right there. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on Continue Import using Current Filter. It'll ask you if you want to save your settings. You can just click Yes. And then you should see your file kind of come into Milestones. You can see all the tasks kind of came in. You can see the name column over there as well. You can also see for this adjust limit switch, 2 symbols actually came in. So if I click on this symbol, then I can press left or right on my keyboard, and you can actually see the symbol number changing down here, and then also the time of day changing up here in the selection tab. Again, I just clicked on it and just pressed left or right on my keyboard. And so if I have just like a 2-hour task, I probably don't want to show, 2 individual symbols. So I could just select one of those and just press delete on my keyboard. And that looks pretty good. If I actually click on the symbols, you can see how they're linked back to that information. So I'll just click on this start symbol right now, and I'm going to click on symbol links. In the selection tab, we have these little sub tabs here. And if I just click on symbol links, then you should be able to actually see this is the activity ID from P6, so 701, etc. And then this is the date field. So these are finish symbols right here, and you can see they all have different activity IDs. And if I click on the start symbol, this is the start date for that activity ID. Same thing with the finish, so you can see they have the same activity ID, just different date columns. So now if I want to refresh this from P6, just as an example, I'm going to go back to P6. I'll just maybe this repair body to bonnet leak. I'll try to look for that one in P6. Okay, I found it right here. So currently it's August 4th. I could just change that just as an example to maybe August 15th. So now that I've changed dates, and obviously you might not go in here and just change one date, but if you have like the next version for the next month, you might want to update these dates and milestones, and we have kind of an automatic way to do that. So I'm going to go to File in P6 and Export. I'm actually going to export an XER file. File, Export, and I'm going to choose Primavera XER. Press Next. I'm going to bring over the project, have that project selected, and then I'll press Finish. And It says it already exists, and I will replace it. Export was successful. So I don't need to open that XER or anything. I'm just going to go back to Milestones. And inside Milestones, so I could refresh this directly from Excel if I wanted to, which we kind of cover in a different video, like refresh, import and refresh from Excel. But I'm going to show you how to refresh from an XER. And if you've got the activity IDs and finish as an example, or start, then you can refresh from an XER file. So I'm going to go to the Connections tab, and I'm going to click on Refresh Previously Imported Project, and then refresh from Primavera XER file. And I've got the file right here that I just exported, so I'm going to press Open. And I think it's just this project right here, so I'm going to press OK. And it's going to kind of read that P6 file and give me all these options. So I am going to refresh using text1 because that's where the activity ID is placed inside the XER file. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing like Microsoft Project, you would just choose unique ID. But since I'm refreshing from XER, I'm going to choose this text1 field. So I'm not going to refresh %complete. I'm just going to uncheck that. And I am going to highlight change dates though. So I'm going to have that checked right there. And then I'm going to click on refresh. And it says, all these updated cells, etc. And then there you go. So now it refreshed, and so you can see it moved these two symbols to whatever the updated date and time is. For some reason in P6 it updated this one to start at 8 a.m. versus our Excel file, which had 7 a.m. I'm sure that's a P6 quirk or something like that. But you can see those updates happened right there. So I imported from Excel and I updated from an XER file. And that's a pretty cool thing you can do in Milestones Professional. I should also mention, if you want to import directly from an XER file, you can actually do that as well. We have videos on our website, so check those out. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at support@kidasa.com, and be sure to visit our website at kidasa.com. Have a nice day.